Welcome to SciShow Tangents, the frightfully competitive science knowledge screen case. I'm your ghost, Hank Gangrene, and joining me this week, as always, is mad scientist Scary Riley.
Hello.
And our resident every wolfman, Sam Skulls.
Ow, ow, ow.
You can do better than that.
No, that was a cool guy werewolf. They don't try that hard. Yeah.
The old calendar on the wall says that it's Halloween time. And as you know, we here at SciShow Tangents love to get in the Halloween spirit. It's spooky month, where we've invited some ghoulish guests to Tangents Manor to join us. In fact, I hear another one of them approaching the door now.
Trick or treat.
Oh, there it is.
Don't open the door.
Oh, he did it. It's Tom Lum, everyone. It's friend of the show, science communicator, video essayist, and co-host of the Let's Learn Everything podcast. It's Tom Lum.
Hello. I would love to add cool werewolf to the end of that. I'm really obsessed with that concept.
Specifically cool werewolf. Not like those werewolves that have a hard time and are emotionally tortured. We need a teen wolf werewolf that just does dunks.
I'm taking it easy.
Yeah. Tom, it is very good to see you. Do you have a skill that I don't know you have already? Because I know you have a lot of skills.
You know, there was definitely a period in high school where I 100% was just like accruing a bunch of skills because I thought that was how friendships were made. And I did, I think, at one point learn, but never tried the like rip your shirt off, which is like an actual, like you like grip it a certain way and you pull. I can unicycle.
Oh,
You
can. I didn't know that. But that doesn't surprise me too much.
No, yeah. It hasn't come up in the video, but it's also funny because what happened was this was, I think, in like the early-ish days of like Amazon and stuff like that. And so I logged onto Amazon, saw this unicycle, and I was like, this is so cool. And I was like, one of my parents was like, can I get in? They were like, no, truly, no. So dangerous, so useless, no. And then a few weeks later, a package came in the mail before my parents got home, and it was a unicycle. And I went up to them and I was like, oh, you guys, you shouldn't have. And they were like, we did not order this. And it turns out I did so much research into this that I like put it in the basket, like calculated shipping, and 100% ordered it for myself. And they were like, well,
I guess you're doing it now.
I guess.
That is a great way to get a thing.
To get
Be like,
stuff
you
when
guys,
you're a
thank
kid.
you so much. I wanted it so much. You said I couldn't have it, but then you ordered it for me. And then they're like, yeah, I guess we did.
You have to use it selectively, though, because that's going to wear off
you can't
time
use that
2
many
or
times.
3. Yeah, you got to like really savor
I think unicycle was a safe bet for that one.
Yeah, do it one time. Be like, you bought me a whole case of Magic the Gathering cards.
Oh, wow. I haven't even told Hank that I play Magic, but that he just read me. He just looked into my eyes and knew that was a recent hobby of mine actually this year.
Did anything bad happen because of the unicycle? Were your parents right?
Well, something nearly bad happened, which is I almost joined the like clownery and juggling club in my college.
That's
which
not bad.
was a dangerous thing that
You
could have
didn't like
happened.
it, but you weren't like on the verge of going to the circus. You were about to clown around in college some. We all joined some kind of clownery in college.
I suppose the people who listen to this show probably, yeah.
Well, I'm just going by the group of people in this room.
By the Muppet podcast host. And
Okay, wait a minute.
I'm a little bit like, Sam, what was your college clownery? What was the clowniest clownery that in an organized way? It can't just be like a party you went to.
Organized clownery.
Yeah.
I don't know. Nothing. I was the most
You went to
boring.
art school. I feel like that is clownery.
I was the most boring person in art school, so I would just watch everybody else do the clownery and be like,
Yeah.
Great for you. Good job. Yeah, I was just like from Montana, and that got me through a lot of just being like, I'm from Montana. And people would be like, that's amazing. So I didn't really have to try that hard.
I was in a Rocky Horror Picture Show cast. That's probably my highest level of clownery. Yeah.
That checks out.
That's pretty clowny. Sari probably has a list as long as her dang arm of clownery that she did.
In college or in general of skills that, like Tom, I just tried things out. If a friend said, I want to try this maybe, then I would commit too hard to the bit in effort of friendship and just like, I think that is how I've been my entire life. one time, I don't know where I learned it from. I told my dad that I wanted to learn how to whittle. And so could I borrow his pocket knife? And I just disappeared into the backyard and was like, I'm going to teach myself how to whittle.
Isn't that just like carving pieces off of a stick over and over again?
Making a big stick into a littler stick.
Oh, Tom.
Does Tom have
A whittled item.
A little pig I whittled once in college once again.
Wow.
It's not very good. It's mostly a stick, but there's some little pig elements to that.
Were you in a whittling group?
No, I also went into the woods. Did the old walkabout strategy.
Yeah, the wander out, just do whatever.
Definitely, yeah. I feel like my one is pretty spooky. Rocky Horror Picture Show is a pretty spooky thing, but maybe not as spooky as just heading out into the woods with a knife. Here at SciShow Tangents, we gather together every once in a while to unnerve and disgust and horrify each other with science facts, while also trying to stay on topic. Our panelists are playing for Gory and for Candy, which will be awarded at the end of the episode, and one of them will be crowned the King of Halloween. But first, we're going to introduce this week's topic with the traditional science poem, this week from Tom.
I was working in the lab late one night when my eyes beheld an eerie sight, for my monster from his slab began to rise, which could only mean, to my surprise, he was nocturnal. He was indeed nocturnal. He was nocturnal. I thought for sure he was diurnal. He was nocturnal. And that his sleep was eternal. He was nocturnal. But he was simply nocturnal.
I did feel like I needed to come in with the backup parts, but the lag prevented it.
And I know what you're thinking. Yes, this poem was obviously inspired by the studies of Pickett et al., renowned biologists, loosely inspired by their work.
Yeah, you did add so little.
Well, so I thought I was gonna really have to Weird Al it up in here, but it's surprisingly already about nocturnality right from the start.
It is. It's late one night and they're rising from the slab. They must be nocturnal. So the topic for the day is nocturnal animals. But first, before we get into it, we're going to take a quick break and then be back to define our topic. Welcome back, everybody. Sari, what are nocturnal animals? I feel like we know this, right?
We do know it, but this is one of them where you start thinking too hard and then you end up in a rabbit hole. Or maybe it's just me.
It's most of them.
Yeah. So basically, there are a bunch of different biological words to describe when animals are active during the 24-hour day. And nocturnal means you're active during the night, lit by moonlight, stars. When there's no moon, there's no moon. Diurnal, the other improv in Tom's poem, is when you are active mostly during the day, lit by sunlight.
That was bespokely carefully written. I spent many hours at the writing table. Improv, how dare you.
I liked Tom's poem, okay?
And then the other two words that get thrown in the mix in these science papers are crepuscular, which is when animals are mostly active during dusk or twilight, sometimes dawn too, when the sun is just on the horizon.
Well, I love crepuscular. Tried so hard to fit that into the song, could not. But I do love that word.
And then there's cathemeral, which is a mix of day and night. Just like if you're chaos, you have some day, you have some night in there. But then there's like the complex or chaotic ways in which we as humans, we have our artificial lights that affect animals and their sleep cycles. We affect our own sleep cycles. And if you start thinking of different patches of the earth, so where we all live, North America, even across time zones, as the Earth rotates around its axis and as the Earth revolves around the sun, we still have like relatively regular chunks of day and night. But as you get up towards the poles, then you get these incredibly long chunks of polar day or polar night where for over 24 hours, animals are experiencing night. And so if you are forced to live in night for days or months on end, are you really nocturnal? Ooh. I don't know. And then you're diurnal half the year. You're nocturnal half the year. And that's where it's
you can have different strategies at different times.
Yeah.
That's totally fine. It's not you don't have to be in one category. Right? Don't put me in your box.
Nocturnality is a spectrum.
Yeah.
Well, definitely. And also it's variable, just like sexuality. You don't have to be in one box your whole life.
One thing that really, why I was also really excited about this, and Sarah, you already touched on it a bit, is that one of the reasons why I think nocturnality is so cool to me is because it is like so clearly a biological phenomena that is, I'm sure we're going to say it's a little messy, but it seems very clear and is clearly a cause of like astrophysics. Like at the end of the day, it's of the fact of the way that our planet is lit and rotates that causes this like biology category that I think is so interesting. How like deeply like physics and like light dependent it is. I think that's so fascinating.
I do wonder if there's sort of a limit. Like if we had a much more slowly rotating Earth, would we have like multiple sleep cycles during each day and then have like more sleep cycles during the night? Like if the day was 2 weeks long, you'd have to sleep at some point. And so you'd just be like picking times in the day to sleep.
Or would we just be like in slow
really
motion
slow.
and then we would
slow. Everything would be slow. I don't think so.
That's gotta be great.
I don't think that the length of the day is what affects how fast you move. I think that that's the metabolism.
You don't feel like you're talking way faster when it's nowadays and the days are so short. You're just zipping around.
That's a good point. We do actually have variable day lengths here on Earth. So there's probably some science that's been done.
Which one are you? I'm crepuscular, I think. I get all my Is that the word?
Yeah, that is.
I get all my best work done right when the day's over, right when it's the most useless for me to do anything.
Yeah, I'm also naturally crepuscular. I would much prefer into nocturnal. I think that like from twilight to like 2 a.m. is like that's the time.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Yeah. Once you start getting into the like sleep studies, they call these chronotypes. Which is different preferences for sleep wake time. And we can measure them largely with questionnaires of like, when do you like to go to sleep? When do you feel most active? But also things like your core body temperature and melatonin levels relative to light in the environment, and like movement tracking in these sleep studies. And so there are different biological things going on. We've had some genetic cues for people who are morning chronotypes, or larks who wake up early, get going, or evening chronotypes, or owls who like get going later, stay up late. And where it gets kind of fuzzy is like where the social aspect comes in. So if you're a night owl and you're forced to wake up for school at 6 a.m. or work for 6 a.m., then there are indicators that is increased stress, increased likelihood of mental illness, things like that. But it could also just be, rather than that being the cause of it, could be like the result of shifting your sleep schedule.
I had two friends in high school for one summer. Basically, we, had like a theater thing that we were doing, and so they really weren't, there wasn't much else they were doing besides rehearsal in the nighttime, and so they decided to try to be nocturnal for a month, where they woke up for rehearsal for like an 8 p.m. rehearsal and then did the rest. And I was always like, wow, that's so cool, how was it? And they were like, boring after a while, because nothing's open. But at first it's like, oh, it's open, so cool. One's awake. After enough of those like liminal space walks, after a while you're just like, man, I really could use any food. Go to any restaurant, please.
All right, we know what nocturnal means, and also I assume that we know where the word comes from, which is knock, like and then turn because the whole world is turning. All of them. It's turning.
That's it. Yeah. The sun knocks on the door and says, "Tick-tock."
To every season.
Well, it does come from the word nox in Latin, which means night. So it is very, very straightforward, which then begat nocturnus, which means belonging to the night. And then
that's
great. Beautiful.
Why don't we just use that?
Yeah,
belonging
we
to
could.
the night. The night owns
It's like,
me.
yeah. Are you much of an early bird, or do you belong to the night?
They get all of the like society working for them, but at least we get a cool name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it just morphed from there to nocturnal and then nocturne in that vein. But the coolest thing that I learned is, the word diary is used to, like, the thing that you write in to document your days. There used to be a word
comes
in
from
English.
The word diarrhea.
Yeah, you shit your brains out into the book, and then it's whatever is there, and then you seal it up so no one can read your stink. No, well, you write what happened to you during the day, but there used to be a word in English in the 1700s called a noctuary, which is what you write down what happens to you at night.
Slept.
Yeah.
Was asleep.
But you do. It is like dreams is most of the use cases. Like I've got a parcel of visions and other miscellanies in my noctuary. So it's a dream journal, basically.
Very good name for a horror movie or some spooky book.
One of the coolest family of words, honestly. Everything you just said, so cool.
Yes.
I too can be a cool wolf. Okay. I have no confidence in my friends. Okay. When Sam said it, when Tom said it, no laughs. When I said it, everyone laughed or snorted.
What do you think Sari was doing in the woods?
With my knife.
Okay. We are now going to play a game, and the game is called Boys Night Out. If you think that humans get up to some wild stuff on a boys' night out, we got nothing on some nocturnal bros of the animal kingdom. I'm going to describe to you some gnarly nighttime shenanigans, and it's up to you to guess which animal is behind them. You'll get 3 to guess from. If you want to join a nighttime hangout with our first group of bros, be prepared to let the good times come to you. Just lay back and float, literally. Males of this species float passively on the surface of their watery homes while they call out to any females that might be around to swing by for some Netflix and chill. Is this the behavior of the paradoxical frog, the North American river otter, or the dwarf crocodile? Did I say crocodile? Crocodile.
Yeah. A frog that's floating around. I think otters are a quiet bunch. That's my guess.
I can see them hanging out though on their back and floating around is the thing. But
yeah, I'm gonna guess crocodiles because I think they float and they grunt
and they can go.
I feel
or something,
Yeah, crocodile.
What was the first one?
Was the paradoxical frog.
Now that sounds like a fake thing, but it could be real, and I'm gonna guess it because I like that.
I'm gonna also go with paradoxical frog because I want river otter. I want otters to remain cute on their backs as opposed to catcalling women. Apparently.
Do you guys want to know why paradoxical frogs are called paradoxical frogs?
Yeah, is it scary?
Please.
No, I don't think so. Maybe a little bit. The tadpoles are bigger than the frogs.
Oh, that is kind of scary.
Oh.
What happens to all their extra meat? They just lose it?
I don't know. I didn't get that deep. The frogs call. Here's more information unrelated to that thing about it.
Oh, I keep thinking it's the frog, and I'm like, yeah. It's like, no, just another tangent.
No, it is the frog. You guys are right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. Oh, God.
The call has been described as both strong and similar to a pig's oink, and they just like float around, chilling.
That's so cute and going oink oink.
It could be like a cute oink oink, or it could be a kind of gnarly snore. I don't know. I'm scared to make the noise because then it's on record forever.
Who's gonna break first?
I also almost made the noise. Look what I got. Also scared. Thanks, Hank. Hank will do it.
Hank's got so many audio recordings of him doing all kinds of things.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff.
All right, number 2. On the opposite side of the vibe spectrum, our next group of bros only have one rule. Do not talk about Fight Club. These absolute legends spend some nights in ritualistic sparring matches that can last several hours.
Wow.
This is the behavior of the cypress spiny mouse, the red kangaroo, or the sportive lemur.
Kangaroos just beating the shit out of each other.
I feel like, kangaroos are typically fighty.
Yeah, that makes
But
so much sense.
lemurs, I feel like, also could. Mice, lemurs, or kangaroos. I feel like it's got to be kangaroos. I feel like they're fighty.
I feel like kangaroos don't have a care in the world, so I think they can spend all night fighting. And a
Would they
lemur,
be
I think, would have to be like...
nocturnal, though. I feel like mice are the most likely to be nocturnal of these bunch. Which of these, but we should focus on the first part of the question. Which of these is meant to be a deep metaphor about toxic masculinity that most people are going to completely gloss over because of the cool stuff that happens with it in the movie?
And people are just going to be like, I want to be that animal.
Yeah. Gonna buy that red jacket and then not think about any of the deeper implications about the nature of like capitalism and stuff like that. So that's kangaroos too, actually. So
I'd want to be a buff kangaroo. I think that's what I'd pick. So I'll go with the kangaroos.
I'm gonna go with lemurs, I guess, just to be. I don't know, Zaboomafoo. You don't know what he was getting into after hours.
You really don't.
I don't think he was a sportive lemur, but his cousins. His rough and tumble cousins. Zaboomafoo, the clean as a whistle TV personality.
Yeah.
Well, do you guys want to know why it's called the cypress spiny mouse?
Because it's got
no way.
It's got little spinies on it.
It's got little spinies on it. It's kind of like its little hairs look a little spiny. Do you want to know why they call the red kangaroos red kangaroos? Because they're kind of red. Do you want to know why they call them sportive lemurs?
Because they're doing sports and fighting each other all night.
They do sporty stuff. They jump around and do big jumps.
That's cool.
But the answer is the red kangaroo.
Oh, okay.
Let's go! Oh, good golly.
These kangaroo fights, they're called boxing matches. Some fights are brief and brutal over territory or dominance, but friendly males will just spar with each other to hone their skills or just affirm an existing social status quo. So just
That's
hours
wild.
of light punching.
That freaks me out for some reason. In the middle of the night, just some night punching.
Yeah,
hear, like,
actually,
thump,
that's
thump.
the worst. You're camping in the outback and you just hear like a hoo, 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 and you look at it just like, I'm returning. Oh, this is going into my noctuary and then I'm going back to sleep.
Our last bunch of bros, they use the cover of darkness to wander out and patrol the perimeter of their territory, pausing every few feet to set up or refresh their primary defenses. Piles of extra stinky poo. Is this the behavior of the kiwi bird, the honey badger, or the wombat?
I feel like birds typically have not very buildable poop.
That's true.
Honey badger, or what's the other?
A wombat.
Wombat with cube poop.
They're the cubed pooped guys.
Which very buildable.
The most
In
buildable.
Very
fact,
buildable.
Yeah,
But I
if
feel like they
Minecraft
don't-
taught us anything, that's the most buildable shape.
I think I'm gonna go for honey badger. Although, actually, I feel like then if during the era of the honey badger don't care, that might have been included in the list of various facts, and I feel
Yeah.
like I would have learned about that. You know,
That's
in that
a really
era
good
of like,
point.
Chuck Norris would tell me about that fact, and then I'd get an ad for like bacon scented soap.
I went to see
Yeah.
Despicable Me 4. There's friggin' honey badger jokes in that. That came out this year. What are they doing? They
Vintage.
got to get some new stuff. I guess it's for people my age who are like parents now, and they're like, I remember that.
Yeah, those are who are in the writer's room. That's what
Yeah,
the last
that's
funny
right.
thing they remember. The last time that they laughed
Was that the honey badger?
was at the
thing?
honey badger. The best joke they could think of.
I'm gonna go for honey badger. I'm gonna go for honey badger. Actually, I'm gonna change my mind.
badger.
I'm gonna try for it.
I think I'm going to pick kiwi bird because I know so very little about kiwi birds
Sure.
that it just seems like the safest bet.
I'm also gonna go honey badger. I feel like they're most likely to patrol in my brain.
Oh, that's,
I can see them being surly and more territorial.
yeah.
So do you know why they call them honey badgers?
Do they
They
eat some
bees.
kind of honey?
Yeah,
Right?
they
Hives?
yeah they go after the beehives. Do you know why they call them wombats?
Because that's what they're called. Because that's what
I
they're
also
called.
don't know.
Sam
I also
Foley,
don't know that one.
face
Do you
and
know why they
hands.
call them kiwi birds?
Because they look like little kiwis. They're like
No,
No, they
Because
little
call
guys.
kiwis because they look like kiwi birds.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
That's really flipped my world upside down.
Kiwi is indigenous, but it's like the noise that they make. So it
Oh.
kind of sounds like that. Yeah. And the answer is kiwi birds.
Oh, wow.
No way.
So good this time.
Yeah. Kiwis, they have a very sensitive sense of smell, in part because they are the only bird whose nostrils are at the tip of their beak instead of closer to their face.
The only bird?
The only bird.
Holy cow.
Probably there's some other birds that used to have that, but then they stopped existing.
I mean, by being in New Zealand, I'm sure that's isolated from other groups.
Yeah.
So maybe that just didn't spread around. But that's wild. I feel like that's like the you drew a bird wrong, or like a drawing, and then it's like, no, it's actually there, and the kiwi bird's like, actually.
I'm glad that my nostrils are not on the end of my nose. I think that would be not a great vibe.
I'm also glad your nostrils are not at the end of your nose, Hank. I've always said that.
I do kind of like it when the upper lip is high.
Like a Nigel Thornberry kind of situation.
I got a type. What can I say? Next up, we're going to take another short break. Then
what? Some of the kiwi birds, they just smell each other's shit. Is that basically it?
Yeah, because they got that sensitive
Science. That's the science.
I did it.
Okay.
You heard the follow-up fact. We're going to take a short break now, and then it'll be back for time for another devious game. SciShow Tangents is brought to you by the Complexly 2025 Wall Calendar. Here at Complexly, which is the production company behind SciShow Tangents and SciShow, and maybe a bunch of your other favorite series like Crash Course and PBS Eons and Study Hall, we're always looking towards the future. But we couldn't get to the future without the discoveries and advancements of the past. So for this year's Complexly calendar, we asked the staff of all of our shows to pick out one of their favorite discoveries from the past 25 years.
Then we took all of their choices from perfectly preserved Jurassic era fossils to proving the existence of the Higgs boson. And we had the brilliant artist Emily Alvarez make an illustrated work of art based on each one, and then shoved them all in one big, beautiful calendar.
That's right. And guess what? We at SciShow Tangents got to pick one too. And we went with the James Webb Space Telescope, a mighty big telescope that took a mighty long time to be completed. But hey, what's a couple of decades when the end result is being able to look back about 13.6 billion years?
I like this telescope so much.
I
remember I made like a Vlog Brothers video about this like 10 years before it launched.
Yeah, we've been making SciShow videos, SciShow space videos about like, it's almost time, guys. And it was almost time for like 12 years.
Yeah. I mean, it was one of those launches that I was like, I can't watch.
That would, too hard.
It's also just so pretty. Like sometimes a space instrument, you look at it and you're like, that's fine. It's functional. But you look at the James Webb Mirror System and you're like, that's art. That's art in the sky, and it's functional too.
Head over to complexly.store/calendar. That's complexly.store/calendar. Or click on the link in the description if you are at a place where there is one of those to get your 2025 Complexly calendar today. There's limited quantities available. I think they may go quick.
And they look really cool.
They do look really cool.
Get over there.
Complexly.store/calendar.
SciShow Tangents is brought to you by Factor, fresh, never frozen meals delivered to your door, so you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting food. It's fall, and that means the days are shorter, the breeze is crisper, and hey, is that our old friend Jack Frost I see way off in the distance? Simply put, it's cold and only getting colder. Sari and Hank, what are your favorite ways to deal with cold weather?
Pee?
Big old blanket.
Oh.
Draw a big warm bath piss.
Okay. Tea's fine.
A big old blanket. I love to rot on the couch and just become an egg, a cocoon of warmth.
That's nice. For me, though, you know what I do? Nothing gets me cozier than digging into a hearty meal. Soups, casseroles, heck, even a stew every now and then. Something nice and piping hot, filled with meat and potatoes. But the thing about those foods is that they can take forever to make. You got them simmering for a million years. And you know what? I'm a busy guy. So what am I supposed to do when I'm too busy to cook? Am I just supposed to freeze to death?
I don't think so, Sam. I think there might be an intermediate option between cooking dinner and dying. Factor meals are ready in 2 minutes, no prep, No mess. Choose from 35 different meals, more than 60 add-ons every week. Have them delivered right to your door. Heat, eat, and get on with your life.
You can have a hearty meal and stay fueled up on these cold fall days. And since Factor meals are dietitian approved and have options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto, you can stay healthy while you're at it.
Hey, thanks, guys. I'm feeling cozier already.
Head to factormeals.com/tangents50 and use the code tangents50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code tangents50 at factormeals.com/tangents50 to get 50% off. The word 50 isn't sounding like a word anymore. Of your first box plus 20% off of your next month while your subscription is active. Factormeals.com/tangents50 with the code tangents50. Played it fast and loose here today on SciShow Tangents. Hope nobody minds. But Sari has our next game.
Yes, I failed boys' night, so now I gotta give the game. I gotta keep on my 0 points. So there are lots of nocturnal animals out there, and it's inevitable that some of them have inspired some fictional characters who may or may not be nocturnal.
Okay.
But
I have a feeling I'm going to be really good at this game.
I think you might be. I think this is... But it is very Sam-coded of a section, because I needed something easy to write.
Wait.
The 1-2! That was the audio equivalent of the up high or down low too slow.
Yeah.
Oh,
I haven't seen you in so long, and this is how you treat me.
This is how it goes.
I just save up the little brother. No, I didn't mean it like that. I truly didn't. But it just came out of my mouth.
Yeah.
In this Truth or Fail Express, I'm going to give you a statement, and you'll have to tell me whether it's a true biology fact or a fiction invented for a character.
Ooh.
So,
Okay.
Sam, you can't be mean to me.
You are just the most mean to me that anybody's ever been in my life. So, okay.
it's Halloween. We can't be mean to each other. It's the time when we come together and we're sweet to each other.
That's right. That's the reason for the season.
It's the spirit of Halloween.
The first statement is, hedgehogs are small, spiny, nocturnal critters that curl up into a ball when they're threatened, or in the case of the blue sneaker-wearing Sonic the Hedgehog, to go fast and blast through enemies.
I'm like vibrating right now.
I'm in trouble.
Yeah, I think this would be a good middling ground between a great equalizer. But sometimes when they get hurt, they inflate like a balloon and need to be deflated. Is this a fact about real-life hedgehogs or a fiction about Sonic?
Oh. Mario does this sometimes, but I don't
You know what?
know.
Sir, I think. Do you mind if I just
Sonic
Google really
does
quick Sonic inflation? I'm sure.
No,
I'm sure nothing will come up. And we just. Oh, okay. No, there's plenty of results. Yeah, I think it's the Sonic one.
I think it must be a real hedgehog, because
I think it's a real hedgehog thing as well.
That's distressing, and I just can't think that he's ever
Be deflated by who? By a friend? I feel like I don't know this in Sonic, so I gotta go for real too. But
It's distressing. I don't like it.
You are all distressed and you are all correct.
Okay, good.
Yay!
Well, I was just trying to picture that. I just searched Sonic inflation, and I thought that was going to be like a physics term.
No.
But no, that's not what
Hank.
it is.
Absolutely not.
This is a new one for me.
Resetting your eyes. This is the sad thing is called balloon syndrome, and it's due to blunt force trauma or damage to like the lungs. Usually, we think, and it's a rare condition where hedgehogs get hit or squished or something like that. If they're struck, then air flows out of the lungs and into their body, and they've got pretty loose skin. Because they curl up.
Because they got to get in a ball.
They got to get in a ball, so they got pretty loose skin, and then they just kind of swell up like a balloon.
It's like they're hyperventilating into a bag, but they're the bag.
They're the bag, yeah. And
That's
then
so sad.
Vets, I think, just deflate. They just pop them. They put a needle in them and then drain the air out and deflate them.
But if they're just in the wilderness,
They're just a balloon. Then it's like Shrek with it when he blows up the frog and the rat and they just float away. They're just trapped like that forever.
Where's that movie where they follow them? Yeah.
I love the idea that they burn through like 900 Shrek spinoffs and eventually it's just like
those two guys.
Frog. We gotta tell the story of the floating frog and the floating rat that floated to the moon.
That sounds great, actually. That sounds beautiful.
Yeah, I think that'd be another, like, it's like the Puss in Boots sequel where you're like, oh, come on, this is a sequel. And then you're watching it just like, oh my God. I can't believe.
So the second statement is, Bandicoots are nocturnal marsupials that live in Australia and New Guinea, or in the case of Crash Bandicoot, on the Wampa Islands.
Yeah, that's right.
Both real and fictional bandicoots can get a little feisty to defend themselves against predators, but only one of them spins rapidly. Is this a fact about real bandicoots or a fiction about Crash Bandicoot?
This is
adorable that Sarah thinks that we're cool enough to not know the answers to these questions.
I don't know what Crash Bandicoot's default attack is, actually. I have no idea what that could possibly be.
I think if you had gone with the Wampa Islands, you would have at least knocked me out. But no, I think Crash Bandicoot himself does spin.
I don't think it's out of the question that a real Bandicoot has spun to attack at some point in his life, but Crash Bandicoot's well known for spinning around.
It's a fast game. You guys.
I googled this and it's fine. Everybody, it's good. It's fine.
Yeah.
Nice and clean. Real life bandicoots can jump really good. I have not found videos or anything of them spinning, but they mostly use their claws territorially, where they stand on their back legs and claw at each other to shoo each other away from their territory. But no spinning and whacking crates and whatnot.
Yeah.
That I can find.
Driving a go-kart, they don't do anything like that.
Yeah. We'll whip through these fast because I over or underestimated. The problem is my best fact I'd used already in a different episode. Also in Australia, in the state of Tasmania, there's a different carnivorous nocturnal marsupial called the Purinina, as a tribute to Aboriginal Tasmanian languages, or the Tasmanian devil by European colonizers who heard its growls and screeches, which were then amplified in the Looney Tunes character Taz. Soothing music can calm one of them down. Is that a fact about real Tasmanian devils or a fiction about Taz?
That seems like it could be true of either. Yeah. I was going to be like, he spins.
Another spin question.
Wow. Crash Bandicoots are rip-off of the Tasmanian devil. Never occurred to me before, but he is.
I think you're right.
His name was originally Willie the Wombat. Apparently.
Crash Bandicoots was?
Yeah, Crash Bandicoot.
And then they heard the word Bandicoot and they were like, that slaps. And so I was like, no, that's not actually, don't care. It's the same with the Wolverine, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I can see the cartoon. I can see this happening. So I'm going to go with the fictional for this one.
I have no chance to survive. Make my time. I think I'm gonna go with, I think that we can make a real, no, I don't. It's the freaking cartoon character.
I can see in my head Daffy Duck playing flute for Tasmanian Devil. I'm not 100% sure that's
specific.
Not. I'm not 100% sure that wasn't just a flight of fancy that I had as a boy, but I'm pretty sure that this is fictional.
You have the episode in your head, Sam, Ducking the Devil from 1957.
Oh my God!
Wow. Daffy tries to lull Taz to sleep with a radio, a trombone, and the bagpipes.
Yeah.
And eventually uses his own singing voice. So you made up the flute, I think.
Okay.
But it was, in fact, fictional. And
so
real
smart.
Puraninas are actually quite calm or fearful. They may seem aggressive because of their feeding rituals, are usually like loud, or they're scavengers, so they're feasting on a corpse together.
Is it
loud? And they're mostly
not.
Yeah,
Nothing
they're just
wrong with
rowdy with
feasting
their
on
friends.
A corpse, huh?
They're just like, I don't know, they store fat in their tails and
me
are
too.
really calm and shy and won't really mess with you
heck?
unless threatened.
Where'd they get their names from just being kind of distasteful in general?
Europeans were like, what's that sound? It's the devil in the woods. And then got scared of them.
I'm just eating a corpse in here. It's fine.
They're in there eating corpses too. Look, we all eating corpses.
That's right.
Let's be honest with ourselves.
Last one, which you can sweep. You can all get all the points, all the candy. Happy Halloween. Tarsiers are tiny nocturnal primates that mostly live in trees on Southeast Asian islands. They have bulbous round eyes to help them see at night. And with their big eyes, big ears, and fluffy faces, they sort of look related to Gizmo from Gremlins.
Okay.
However, only one of these creatures can rotate their heads nearly 360 degrees. Is this a fact about Tarsiers or a fiction about Gremlins?
I know the answer to this one, so I will.
I also know the answer to this.
Stripe would love to get his hands on Gizmo and twist his head all the way around. But Gizmo wouldn't live through it because it's not something Gizmo can do. It is real.
I think we're all on the same page. I'm going to vote for the lemur can do this.
Is the
This
Tarsier.
is a real thing.
Yes,
the Tarsier, sorry.
Yeah. The small primate. But yeah, they basically took their good for seeing in the day eyeballs and made them real big through evolution, or so happened that they got big through evolution. And the Tarsier can't move their eyeballs around. So instead, they can swivel their head up to 180
they can't
degrees.
Move their eyeballs?
No.
Oh,
so they move their whole head instead.
Most birds are also a similar thing, and that's part of the reason why we think owls can turn their heads around so much is also because they have like pancakey eyeballs, so they can't like move their eyes around, so they move their head more. Also, I know that can you tell I also host a fun fact science podcast? Also, I know that right now in the Guinness Book of World Records, Tarsiers are listed as the animal that can turn their heads their most, but they're wrong because sloths, I believe, can do it more because of their extra vertebrae. They can turn their heads a few degrees more, I believe, than Tarsiers, or at least the same amount. Yeah.
Tom, do you think that you could at some point make a book that's called like the Guinness Book of Wrong Records, where you just talk about Guinness records that are wrong?
That's also a topic we've covered on this show.
Make a pamphlet.
Of wrong records. I had another bonus fact that I was thinking about nocturnal animals being fictional and real is that we talked about vampirism and how similar it is to, actual vampirism. And I learned that vampire bats have a few properties, which is that various species of vampiric bats have like different capabilities. Some allow them have like feet that let them like climb faster. Some have different like niches and abilities, if you will. They also sometimes have quote unquote more aesthetic features because of their face structure as compared to other bats. And they are also communal and cooperative, where they will sometimes exchange blood with each other. If another member of their cohort doesn't have enough blood, they will regurgitate blood to them, making them A, have special abilities, B, be beautiful, and C, be cooperative, thus making them most similar to Twilight vampires. Was the thesis of that episode.
Good.
How do they feel about the way that Bella smells, though?
How do they feel about breaking into a girl's room and just staring at them?
Yeah,
I think that's the one. I think they don't have that one.
Hold on tight, Spider Monkey.
Spider Monkey.
So the final count, everybody in that one got 4, so it's almost like it didn't happen. But that brings us to a final count.
I shouldn't have written a game.
Sari with nothing. Me with 4, Tom with 6, and Sam with 7.
I love to be the king of Halloween. Feels right.
He is. The cool wolf man is the king of Halloween.
I wore my orange shirt today. It's got monsters on it. It's right for me.
And that means it's time to Ask the Science Couch, where we ask some science questions to our finely honed couch of razor sharp, spooky-tific minds. What do we got? Super Basidia 10476 on YouTube and Soft Loves on Twitter asked, some animals need sunlight or vitamin D, right? How do nocturnal ones handle that? Oh, interesting question. I have 2 proposals off of the top of the dome. 1, nom, nom, nom. And 2, metabolism, like other biochemistry that might happen.
Does everything need vitamin D? Is that a...
They're all. You could also
pull
sort of
that
maybe
one.
imagine a world where you don't actually need it, but I don't know. But Sarah
Also-
has some better information than me.
Yeah, I mean, how much do we get from the moon? Probably not like a ton. I mean, obviously not enough for a human, but I'm curious if maybe
I think that you might
probably not a
need
lot.
specific wavelengths that the moon might not spit off.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Also, you can just buy a lamp on
That's
Amazon.
what they
Those are
do.
helpful. Yeah.
That's
One of
what
those.
they do.
They're tricking their parents into like adding it to their Amazon cart and then going,
Oh,
you
boy.
shouldn't have
Oh,
bought
boy.
me that. A UVB lamp for me.
For me, and they're like, "What is Amazon? We are hedgehogs."
We are in the Amazon currently. I'm very confused.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of got it. This is a very intuitive answer as far as we know. So vitamin D, also known as calciferol, there are a couple different types of it. Vitamin D2, ergocalciferol, is synthesized in plants like mushrooms, yeast, like those categories of things. And then vitamin D3, also known as cholecalciferol, is what our skin synthesizes. We have enzymes and whatnot that when certain precursor molecules are exposed to UVB radiation from the sun, which is reflected by the moon a little bit, but probably not significant enough amounts, but maybe some, maybe a little bit. We synthesize it and then also get it throughout the food chain because various other animals can synthesize it using similar enzymes as well. So the main source, if you can't make it on your own, is your diet, and not just nocturnal animals, but like cats and dogs.
Sorry, Sarah. I think the answer is hum hum hum.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cats and dogs must hum hum hum. Because they don't synthesize it in their skin.
Well, they're also covered in fur, like many animals. They're in the shade all of the time.
Yeah.
But animals like cows and mice and whatnot can
Okay.
still synthesize vitamin D3. I think there's something about the enzymes that are either deactivated or inefficient for some reason in dogs and cats that we have studied, and they're not able to perform synthesis in the same way. We've studied bats, like the Egyptian fruit bat, and it seems like they don't have any clear access to being in the sun or exposed to a lot of UVB or dietary sources of vitamin D, and they just seem to have lower levels than what we would maybe consider normal, and they're fine. So they don't have any sort of problems with bone or neurological systems that we would typically expect in like a human, for example, with vitamin D deficiency. And then stuff like fish underwater, whether they're, I don't know, they're just like far away from sunlight and they just eat. They just got to eat the plants and stuff to get their vitamin D and to build it up and store it.
Didn't even think about fish. Eternal night
Yeah,
for
the
the
deep
fish.
ocean. They're all
It's
nocturnal.
most
What
of
is
the
light?
animals,
Yeah.
and we're just like,
Yeah.
But you wouldn't. But they're not nocturnal. So
no, but
Right?
many of them never see light in their entire lives.
yeah, I guess that's true.
Wow, we reached the existential crisis I was hoping
Yeah.
to get. Yay. Right at the end there.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That's not hitting me too hard right now. I've got
Fish.
Another thing on the line.
Inflation, though. You're like,
Yeah, I'm not sure about fish, Tom. I googled sonic inflation earlier, so I'm dealing with my own stuff.
I've got enough on my plate.
Now for our listeners on our Patreon, we're going to answer a bonus science couch question. Sam, what is it?
Kaz McDo on Discord asked, is it true that teenage humans have a shift more towards nocturnal sleeping habits, or are they just lazy?
If you want to hear the answer to that question, as well as enjoy all new episodes totally ad-free, you can head over to our Patreon. That's patreon.com/SciShow Tangents. At $8 a month, you get new episodes ad-free and extended shenanigans as we answer a bonus science couch question every episode. You'll also get a link to our private Discord server and maybe also some goodies in the future, and also definitely all of our old goodies from the past. Our patrons are the best. We're so grateful for their support of the show. If you want to ask the Science Couch your question, you can follow us on Twitter at SciShow Tangents, or check out our YouTube community tab, where we'll send out the topics for upcoming episodes every week, or you can join the SciShow Tangents Patreon and ask us on our Discord. Thank you to @Splizzacular on YouTube, @MightBeJoe on Twitter, and everybody else who asked us your questions for this episode. Tom, tell us where we can get more of your extended shenanigans.
Well, I've already mentioned it a few times. Some of the fun facts I've learned to mention today come from my show, Let's Learn Everything, that I host with the wonderful Caroline Roper and Ella Huber, who are smart enough to constantly amaze me and kind enough to put up with my bad jokes. We learn about a science topic like quantum physics, and then a miscellaneous topic like the history of gossip, which is not an exaggeration. That was one episode. So you can go listen to that. We will have a spooky episode also. We also love doing a spooky episode. We've done some in the past. And I also make science video essays now. You can find them on YouTube if you search Tom Lum. Same with all the other social media places. When my parents named me, they were like, this baby's going to have some stellar SEO. Hank's also been on Let's Learn Everything as well. He was on a very special 69 episode.
It was good. It was so much fun. If you like this show and you want to help us out, it's really easy to do that. You can go to patreon.com/SciShowTangents. Become a patron. Get access to all that stuff and our ad-free episodes and our Discord. Shout out to patron Les Aker for their support. Second, you can leave us a review wherever you listen. That's very helpful. It helps us know what you like about the show and other people as well. And finally, if you want to show your love for SciShow Tangents, just tell people about us. Thank you for joining us. I've been Hank Green.
I've been Sari Riley.
I've been Sam Schultz.
And I've been Tom Lum.
SciShow Tangents is created by all of us and produced by Jess Stempert. Our associate producer is Eve Schmidt. Our editor is Seth Glicksman. Our social media organizer is Julia Buzz Bazzaio. Our editorial assistants are Timothy Chakravarty and Alex Billow. Our sound design is by Joseph Tunamedish. Our executive producers are Nicole Sweeney and me, Hank Green. And of course, we couldn't make any of this without our patrons on Patreon. Thank you. And remember, the mind is not a coffin to be filled, but a jack-o'-lantern to be lighted.
But one more thing. One of the most famous nocturnal animals is, of course, the bat. But some species are famous instead, more so famous, for having false butts. This occasionally goes viral because it's very cute. If you search for bats have butts, you'll see many a Reddit and Instagram post proclaiming this. And some accounts like Bat World Sanctuary post, and I'm not kidding, hashtag Bat Booty Friday. And this is because some species like the Mexican free-tailed bat have what appears to be a super cute little tush, but it is not a real butt. And you can clearly tell it's not a real butt because the anatomy of the rear of these bats actually forms the butt above the tail, which is interesting. But highly recommend Googling it. It's super cute. And now that you know it's a false butt, it's also mildly interesting.
No, I'm taking umbrage with the false butt because it is their butt, right? Like the butt and the poop hole are different things. Right?
I have been pounding on this drum for years.
I mean, this is really bringing it all home for me because these legs are a butt.
Yeah,
So-
it seems to have been
Maybe-
formed.
okay.
I mean, the question is it the gluteus maximus and minimus?
It's more of a muscle question, or
Maybe
is it a
it's not the
functional? How does it function, or is it truly what you perceive?
I think it might be
Is
what you
it-
perceive. Like if it looks like a butt and it's where a butt goes, it's a butt.
If it looks like a butt and it sounds like a butt, it's a butt.
It doesn't have to sound like a
Now-
butt.
Yeah. These butts don't.
So, could this be merely posterior pareidolia, our eyes seeing butts everywhere? Or could this be our bat brethren begetting big bottoms? Believe it or not, couldn't find a lot of actual hard research on this, but maybe further research into this important issue can tell us some more. Maybe one day.
we got to get a bat on the horn and ask them what they think that thing's called.
That's funny because I was thinking somebody's need to dissect one of those boys and tell me what those muscles are.
Oh, can't we just ask them? We just need to figure out how to talk to these guys.